Hey everybody, hope you had a good New Year. Happy New Year, and it's time for Q&A. So go ahead and mute yourself or type in. Go ahead and fire away.
And go ahead, Heather, then Chris.
Hey Heather.
Let's see. You should be able to unmute yourself, but let's double check. Yeah, you should be able to unmute yourself. I can help you out if you need. Check. Fine. Well, go ahead, Chris, and then we'll go to Heather.
Hey Chris.
Oh, thanks, Sam. Hey, Greg.
Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
Happy New Year.
You too.
Hey, I brought one of my clients along here, Leslie. She's on the call with us, and she's taken a couple of your classes before.
Okay.
And yeah, so recently, just to preface things, recently, a trauma resurfaced from her childhood, and I'll let her tell you the story about that and how that came along.
Okay.
But we're hoping you can give us some oil protocols and maybe some pH to work with.
Okay.
Leslie, are you there? I thought she was here.
Sorry, unmuting myself. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hey.
Hey Leslie.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good.
Thank you. Yeah, so just very very briefly, I've been working with Chris. I think it's been over a year, and it's been really good. And there's been a lot of transformation in my life. And one of the things that we were working on was some of the abuse that happened when I was a kid. And some things have come up, and I started to remember things, and it really kind of set me back with the trauma, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
And
Okay.
also it has something to do with meeting someone unexpectedly, Leslie, right?
Yes. So I grew up in a religious cult, and there was a lot of abuse there. And
Okay.
I didn't know him, but I had ran into an elder from the church, and it just really kind of, like I said, it brought back memories that I had even suppressed.
But not necessarily with this person, but just from the
Yes, correct.
organization.
Yeah.
And it was a small organization, a big organization.
They're pretty big, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay. How old were you when these things happened?
So that's what I'm starting to remember. It started the grooming part started when I was in elementary school.
Sure.
That I remember.
Mhm.
But I started to remember my parents' involvement with basically being sold to them. And a few of my other family members were as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I know that's heavy.
No, I mean it's used to be a thing I used to specialize in. So I mean,
Really? Okay.
yeah, like I'm sorry that happened to you, but
Thank you.
I just need to do a little assessing of
Okay.
where you're at. Like, yeah, give me just a sec. So grooming started in elementary, and do you have memories of what happened, or
Oh, yes.
okay, you
Yep.
do. So you're not like just missing a big chunk of childhood or whatever. You have
What I
memories.
am missing is the early parts of childhood, which I started to remember that.
And that was mostly just grooming, or is there like abuse?
That was where I realized my parents had involvement.
Okay. Okay. And do you have any presenting health issues that are going on right now, or like just, things that you're struggling with in your body, or
No, I actually feel pretty good in my body,
okay,
surprisingly.
okay.
I feel like it's underlying anxiety that I deal with and
So
worry
that
from
was
that.
going to be my next question was, what's your anxiety level?
Yes, I feel like that's where it has me constantly, because I had to be because of the abuse. I'm constantly heightened by things, if that makes sense.
Sure. And is there a manifestation from the grooming, like say people pleasing, something like that? Like,
Yeah,
is that what it is? People pleasing?
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Like
Okay.
that has, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, the thing with stuff like this is when we usually like approach this, we do it from the point of view of like our intellect. And you're like, okay, we got to get this trauma and we got to get it out. When that is true, but there is a dynamic that happens, within the organism, within our emotions, our mind, our body, but then also with the current environment, and then the the connections to those past events. And part of the issue happens sometimes is that we go through and we work on ourselves, but we're still like we still have like an IV hooked up from that past event that keeps like a slow drip of like trauma, 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 trauma. You know what I mean? And so what I think I like for you is to um we do some work with the past events and still go through and clear things for you. But ironically, this is what we're going to be doing in the next new class, the Sphinx class,
Oh, wow.
is basically kind of unwinding things from past events and then doing like really deep kind of cord work to kind of go through and release it. And then on top of that, you're wanting to calm down agitation in um, the different bodies, the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, things like that, and even the instinctive responses. Usually the area um, that has the most agitation when it comes to stuff like this is the mental body. Like, like you're trying to resolve it. You're trying to, you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to heal it. You're trying to make it go away. You're trying, whatever it is. And it's a natural response to dealing with stuff like this. And the issue is, it sounds like you have that relatively under control, because usually it manifests as some, ache or pain or, something going on in the body. And do you mind, how old are you?
I'm 44.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, if it was going to settle in, it would settle in by then. And
Mhm.
so, um, so Chris, this is what we'd like to do with her is
Okay.
you remember that blend um threshold?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have some?
I think so. It
Yeah, it's
wasn't
in a
that in
kit.
one of the classes?
Yeah, it was probably in a couple of classes.
Okay.
So like you're just inhaling. So it's not like you need a whole lot of it.
Okay.
But what I'd like her to do is inhale the threshold and at first like explore any, how you do body awareness, like any sort of glitch or heaviness in the body, and then
Mhm.
eventually get to the spine, like and go through and visit, each segment of the spine, like the neck, the upper back, the mid back, the low back, like unwind that for like 5-10 minutes with inhaling the threshold. And
Okay.
then we'll have her like guide her through like different memories. And so what was her name again?
Leslie.
Leslie. So
Yeah.
Leslie, so like what we'll have you do is just the things that you can remember.
Mm-hmm.
You'll go through and you'll just think about him, like, so you go, okay, I was being groomed at age whatever, by whoever, and you'll sit and think of that situation and inhale the oil. And basically what that's going to do is, for one, it's going to diminish any sort of pain or like anxiety that is associated specifically with that situation. And so as you do it, what's going to happen is thoughts are going to arise. Like all of a sudden you might go, oh, there was this other situation, there was that situation. And just as they pop up, you're just going to kind of watch them and observe them as it comes to the mind. You're just going to keep doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it. And then it might just be enough to do it with the threshold. Give me just a sec here. Okay, so you're going to do that. And then after that, Chris, have her do vetiver on the arms and legs.
Okay.
And then, a few minutes of that. And then,
Oh, inhalations.
yeah, inhalation.
Okay.
And then either sandalwood, cistus, healing elixir, or pain relief psychogenic. Any of those, and again, go back to whatever external situations just arise in the mind. If you work something and then you go back and it's not really there, just whatever's popping up into the mind. So you'll do that for a few minutes, and then after that calms down, then do it on the jaws. And it's really important to do it in the jaws. The jaws, when there's some connection, and let's say like with these external events and there's still like activity, it will manifest as tension in the jaws. And it's like the body's trying to tense up to try to keep it from like coming in. And it will manifest in a couple places, but the easiest way to calm it down is just go to the jaws. The jaws will calm it all down. And then, so you're going to do a few minutes of that. And then I would do, do you have that blend vital centers? Remember that
Yes.
from a long time ago?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then after that, vital centers on the heart and the back heart. And then like, usually it's either going to be trauma or fear comes up. It's going to be mostly in the solar plexus, the front and back solar plexus. Then I would just go through and clean that up. And normally, like when we do psychotherapy, after the solar plexus, you'd go higher. Like you'd go, okay, what about the heart, the throat, the ajna, the crown? Go lower, like go from the solar plexus, check the navel, check the basic, check the sex chakra, check the centers associated with the lower nature. Because there was instinctual responses. Part of the grooming is tied to basically like creating a behavior or like conditioning, and the conditioning is tied more to the lower centers than the upper centers. So for her to be able to break out of like the people pleasing and that kind of stuff, you'll have to unwind the lower centers, like from the solar plexus down. And the more that you're able to clean this component up, you go through and you do the part with the threshold, then the vetiver, then the sandalwood or the cistus, or whatever you're going to use there. Then the last part, the vital centers. Then at that point, it becomes uh, like very easy and very like your ability to go very deep on cleaning the cords to that event and to those people
Mhm.
is like amplified by like 5 or 10 times. Like it is super, super strong. So the areas to clean the cords are start with the ajna, then solar plexus, front and back, then basic, then go to the crown. And
Mhm.
like, so you're going to sweep the cord out or have her use the etheric cords
Mhm.
and like think of the situation, like flush it out, and then like, use psychotherapy on those centers, except for the
Mhm.
basic, just use green and orange.
Okay.
Um, and then just keep cycling through that, you know. Um, Most likely trauma might come up for a little bit, but because of the grooming, it's probably going to be more fear
Yeah.
than trauma. And
Mhm.
so it's mostly going to be in the emotional body, but you never know. So like just keep evaluating the different spots and keep in mind that sometimes if there's a really deep release, it will come out of the spine, not out of a chakra. And so keep checking in. Like if she ever starts to feel like weird in the solar plexus and it doesn't clear, it's her spine. Like, and if she looks like there's no differentiation in the energy body, like when you're going through and scanning, it just looks like a
Mhm.
pillar, it's her spine. Like just
Got it.
clean up her spine. Yeah. And so I would say this will clean things up relatively quickly. But you never know what's going to get uncovered. And this is the thing that I would say about that. The issue being that there was abuse, then there was grooming, but there's going to be another issue that's going to be hard to gauge because there's not going to be memories, is there's going to be times where there was tension between Leslie when she was, that age, and then the adults that were grooming her. Like, so it's not going to be like, oh, I have this memory. It's just going to be like there was these weird, awkward events where somebody was being really willful towards her, and
Mhm.
there's not going to be a memory to stir up. And so, equally as traumatizing as the abuse itself, like because it's a willful energy and it doesn't make sense to the child. Like
Mhm.
whenever you're dealing with that, and so um
Yeah, Leslie mentioned that she has this desire to kind of dig through her past to kind of
yeah, whatever
remember
she
things.
needs, yeah,
Yeah, but
whatever
then
she needs to go through
it
and look
makes
at it.
her, and then she regrets it, right, Leslie? After
it
you,
it it's regretful because it stirs up like pain and just
yeah, yeah.
memories and
Yeah.
things. And then it's also like, ugh, look at how bad it was, or like, you know what I mean? Like the weight of
Yep.
it. And so, part of what happens when you go through and you start digging through it is what we're talking about. It's you realize the weight, and the weight is these connections. And so, I mean, this is what we're doing in the Sphinx, by the way. Like, we're going to unwind all this stuff in a way that's super soothing, super gentle, in a way to disconnect from painful things in the past, painful situations, abuse, whatever, um, accidents, just times where things were difficult. And part of the conditioning, it's not just releasing the trauma, but if you think about like what she's saying, where there is the behavior or the drive for people pleasing. If you think about that, like you step back and you just let go of the whole situation, you go, okay, the drive for people pleasing, that is a willful act. Like you're trying to produce some sort of result by a willful act. And so what happens with the grooming is they groom the will to make the person do what they want. So you
Mhm.
have to undo the conditioning of the will. So that can happen with grooming where they do it kind of mechanically, but like traumas, bad events, prolonged periods of stress, all of that is very similar to what grooming does, but it's just not as mechanical and intentional. But it impacts the will in a specific way. And usually when we work things in the will, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. But here, by using the threshold at first, it calms the agitation down so that it's just like you're looking at something on TV. Like it just literally takes all the weight out of it, all the intensity, all the feelings that come from the trauma or from the events, whatever it is. It's just like, you can still tap into it, but it's like nothing stirs, like just nothing stirs. And so I would go deep on that for at least 4 or 5 sessions. And
Okay.
I mean, really concentrated effort, you might even be able to do it in like say 2 or 3 sessions, and then just afterwards there would be cleanup with whatever is still kind of arising in our mind. But
Mhm.
I've been doing a practice like this on and off for, I don't know, 10, 15 years or something. And, I'm
Mhm.
not doing it all the time, but I still go back and go, high school. Like it starts off where you start knocking off the really intense things that happen to you, but then you start realizing I wasn't that comfortable in high school. I wasn't that comfortable, at college. I wasn't that, whatever it is. And you just start kind of knocking that stuff off. Um, so it can go for a while, but the trauma part um, will clean up actually. I don't want to say super quick, but relatively quicker than you would think. Because the thing that makes it back and forth and the thing that makes it go relatively slow is that there's still connections out in the world, and it's not like you're thinking about it and you're drawing the energy in. There's just a connection where there's energy going back and forth. The cords or the connections are contaminated, and it's almost like it's lingering over you because it still feels like it's happening a little bit. And so it affects your physiology, it affects your emotions, it affects your mind. So you almost have to take away those connections to take away the triggers so that then you're just dealing with you. But before that, you're dealing with you and then still the events. And so this is just a way to unwind it in a way that's very soothing, very gentle, and very quick. And here we're just talking about it in the mental body, but like in the class, we're going to go through the mental body, then the emotional body, the physical body, the instinctive drives, and we're going to do this whole process. Then we're going to go deeper with the chords, like, unwinding chords, similar to what we've done in the past, but there's a couple little nuances that we're adding to it. And so start with what we have talked about, and if you feel like augmenting with cleaning cords while she's doing it, you could do that, or if you want to do that instead, or for cleaning up cords in the external situations, the oils probably work better than the energy work. But if you are going to do external situations, you'll have to be able to tap in, but you would do like a version of the whiteboard, where you
Yeah.
project a bunch of dark blue and then disintegrate it
Mhm.
with electric violet.
Mhm.
I would drop the electric violet, like just blew it,
Yeah.
just blew everything, just dark blue everything. Like, okay, her in childhood, like her in a particular incident, it's harder to do that because you have to be able to tap into what it is. It's easier for the person who it happened to do it. So if you want to teach her how to do the whiteboard thing, you can do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think Leslie knows how to do that.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've done that before actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So drop the electric violet, do lots of dark blue for like when you energize and project the dark blue, several minutes at a time, several minutes. But yeah, try this and see how that works for you.
Out of curiosity, Greg, why do we drop the EV?
We're not trying to stir the pot. You're not trying to break up a pattern. The pattern's already kind of been relatively resolved because she basically
Oh, okay.
grew out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you're dealing with is agitation, and the agitation in it, that it basically generates agitation
Mm-hmm.
in the body and the emotions and the mind and instinctive, all those things. It generates a lot of agitation. So
Mm-hmm.
the blue is very, it just slows down all that movement. And what I used to do in situations like this, instead of using um, electric violet, I would use delicate regeneration, greenish yellow, greenish violet.
I
And
see.
the reason being that it's it's helping to re-educate like the nervous system, and like, it's calming and soothing, but it's re-educating the nervous system. And instead of using electric violet here, violet is actually probably more important than electric violet, because the violet is going to have a bigger effect of calming down the fight flight mechanisms. Like you're trying to break a pattern of the fight flight mechanisms, like engaging when she gets like little external triggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the blue will slow that down. The violet by itself can be helpful, but I find greenish yellow, greenish violet together is even a little bit more so. But
Yeah.
that's not openly taught, so I usually don't talk about that too much. But that's I used to use that more than electric violet in the
Thank
balance.
you so much for explaining that.
Yeah, like if it was like we're dealing with hardcore PTSD, instead of using blue, you would use gold. But for here, you would do the same technique, but instead of bluing the whole area, you would gold the whole area. But here, blue is going to be more effective.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's if you think about it, like the reason also with like electric violet and gold is that what happened in really more than anything in her lower centers, her energy body,
Yeah.
and the vibration of what it is, what the people were doing were also very low vibration. So you almost have to use energy that is similar in vibration to what you're dealing with. Eventually, you raise it up out of that and you can do electric violet. But like her upper centers are probably fine. Like, like emotionally and mentally, if you could just calm down the physiology,
Mm-hmm.
she would probably undo some of these behaviors without even thinking about it or talking about it. But here you're having to override physical and instinctive drives with the mind and the emotions, and you're just like in a wrestling match. And so that's why also to start with the mental component is it stops the body and the mind like struggling with each other, or fighting each other, being at odds with each other. And it
Mm-hmm.
just, you're trying to shift the person, whenever you're treating something like this, you're trying to shift them out of being intellectual about it to intuition, because intuition is where it's going to break down and release. The
Right.
intellect is not going to do it. Like the intellect will just cause conflict between the body and mind. So you need to just like whatever you keep doing is just easing it over. So like starting with the threshold blend, it it allows the agitation has calmed down to such a degree that it allows that shift to go over. Because when you have agitation, the mind wants to solve the mystery. The mind wants to solve the problem because it wants to feel better, right? And
Right.
so in that time of trying to solve it, it's hard to release it because it's like you're wrestling with something. Like you're not going to be able to let it go because it's got its claws in something, right?
Mhm.
And so you almost have to like calm the intellect down and slowly move it into the intuition, where the intuition can go, yeah, that's not working for us anymore. Let's get rid of it. You know, where the intellect is like, yeah, but how and why and what do we do? And I need to make something happen. Like the intellect is always thinking that we need to make something happen. When really, if you can move it into intuition, we're wired to be able to release it. It's just that the act of something traumatizing happening like fixates the intellectual mind. Like the mind wants to resolve the problem. And so you're kind of left in this situation until you can, either exhaust it or let it go, or, start sleeping and being able to do it in your sleep. Or here you're going to basically manually induce a deep intuitive state so that you can just flush it out of your system.
Got it.
Yeah. Does this make sense? Do we need
Yes,
to? Okay.
totally.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And then, after that, if trauma comes up, little helichrysum, if fear comes up, you can use benzoin or anula, something like that. Cistus, but I would say it's going to be relatively straightforward usually.
Great. We like
Yeah.
straightforward.
I would say the indicator is like the people pleasing, and like it when you can see a shift in the behavior that she was groomed to have.
Mhm.
That's when that you can move on to something else. She's not having physical health issues, which if she's in her mid-40s, it would have manifested already. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would go through and clean that up. Yeah, just unwind it, and it literally almost just kind of floats away. Even if you don't get it all in the session, because you moved that area from intellect to intuition, even if you
Mhm.
don't get it all in a session, when you're done, it will just keep moving. Like, because intuition is
Mhm.
movement. The intellect is repetition. Like it's grinding on something and wants to resolve something. It wants to, it wants to go down the rabbit hole, so to speak. And
Yeah.
so um you're not going to stop that, but you can ease it into intuition. And like, even if you think about like how we do the three brains, where we go, okay, brain, solar plexus, sex chakra, your awareness is on all three, and then you try to balance it out to, third on the brain, third on the solar, third on the sex. Part of what you're doing is you're trying to fatigue the intellect, like the mind, it's holding all these pieces together. So that it just goes, I give up. And then things will start shifting over to the intuitive mind. I mean, that is a big purpose of the aspect of the three brain, because we talk about how like that part's innovative, like it's what you're doing when you switch to intuition and you're observing something, like how we're having her look at these different situations. It's how you break down chaos and establish order. It's not through focus or fixation, it's through observation and non-reaction. And we're wired to process it and make it right. It's just a lot of times we don't do the observation to let it happen. It's not really taught in our culture.
Mhm.
And so yeah, we just got to get her into that state, and then it'll just start happening.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Leslie, do you have any other questions?
I don't. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you
then
so
let
much.
me know, like after 3 or 4 sessions, let me know how it's going and we can make adjustments. Or if something comes up or is weird during the sessions and stuff like that, let me know and we can make adjustments. I mean, things can always happen, but usually this is pretty like relatively straightforward. Yeah.
Perfect. We'll touch bases.
Yeah.
Great. And
And
can I ask one more? Oh, sorry.
yeah, I was going to say for Leslie, like if certain behaviors start to pop up, like, you know, the people pleasing, make a note of it so that we can gauge it and then target it if we need to at a later time, because you might get insight into something right in the moment, and then 15 minutes passes, and because you are in the intuitive state, you might not remember. You know, you'll remember again later, but you know, time will go by. So if there's, you know, any sort of like little behavior or little nuance that pops up in your mind,
Mhm.
just jot it down. You don't have to have lots of details, but just jot it down so that you have a trigger for the memories, and then we'll target it and we'll go after those things.
It's usually pain towards
Yeah.
her parents.
Yeah.
What comes up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when it gets mixed in with religious things, it's a little bit harder because there's the religious aspect, but also people don't always behave like they would on their own because of they think they're doing something that's good for the church, or, you know, who knows what the motivation was.
Mhm.
And I would say the parents are another issue, but tackle the trauma first, and then it becomes easier to unwind the thing with the parents. If the
Okay.
parents just keep coming up while you're doing this, instead of just going back to the events, focus on the parents then. Like, you know, do them both.
Mhm.
And you know, because they are part of the scar tissue.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a template, but you also have to be a little bit of like, you know, you're tracking something through the woods. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're watching for the footprints and, you know, broken little twigs, and, you know, you're looking for where it's going. And so, you know, because you never know. Usually
Right.
it's straightforward, but you know, there's always weird dynamics that come up and throw a curveball. And so, yeah, let's start with this and see how it goes, and we'll go from there.
Thank you so much. Greg,
Yeah.
can I ask you a quick question? I
Mhm.
think it's gonna be quick. Remember a couple months ago when I told you when I lay on my left side, I'd start coughing, and then you found some mucus in the lungs.
Mhm.
Couple days ago, my left nostril started to drip. So is it just like working out the infection out?
Not
That's
always an
been
infection. Like
there.
sometimes there's can be agitation in the respiratory tract. What's stress levels like these days?
Um, pretty. I mean, I'm not stressed.
You're not stressed.
No, I've been on vacation.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have so it's running. Do you
It's
have
just the
some?
left really that's draining, which is
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
And then it started with me a couple months ago when I'd lay on my left side. I'd cough just when I lay down.
Okay. Do you have some angelica?
Yes.
Take a few drops of angelica internally, like
Okay.
every day. Like you could do it a couple times a day if you want.
Okay.
That
Just
should knock it out.
let it work
Yeah,
itself out. Okay.
that should
Cool.
knock it out. Yeah, it should stop the dripping almost immediately.
Okay. Thank you so
You're so
much.
welcome.
And then go ahead, Heather, then Letty.
Hey, Heather.
Hello, Happy New Year.
How are you? Happy New Year.
Very good. Hey, I've got let's see. I'm going to be putting in a sauna, and there's so many health benefits alone with the sauna. But I've learned
Dry
that
sauna or wet sauna?
it's going to be the kind with coals where you pour water over the
Okay,
coals.
gotcha. Mhm.
Okay. And they say, oh, it's going to come with a little oil. I'm like, "Ugh, I'm not going to use that. Who knows what it's going to be. But I wanted to ask you for a recommendation of what oils might be good to use in a sauna, since I know nothing of this.
I would use like traditionally what is used is like eucalyptuses, things that open up the lungs and the chest,
Okay.
and that are also cleansing. And so the only thing that I would say is like kind of start softly with them, because sometimes the combination of the oils and the steam make you expel so hard that I've made myself very nauseous, like
Mm,
doing a bunch of oils in a very strong steam room, and like I had to walk out because I was about to throw up. Um,
okay.
it was a lot of oils, and I was applying it to my body and being stupid.
Okay.
And so, putting them just on the little thing that they have for that
Yes.
should be fine. But I would do like eucalyptuses. I do maybe even hyssop. You could do like naoli, which is in the tea tree family.
Okay.
Um, Myrtles are nice and soft, but still opening to the chest. Um, Larch could be good. Kind of visiting a bunch of things in my head here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I probably rosemary would be another one that you could do. But my first choice would probably be just eucalyptuses. Any
Okay.
any of them. Yeah.
Right. Because I kind of assumed things that would be caustic and sensitizing you'd want to stay away from.
Well, the
Like,
thing that's also a potential, like you might be able to play with like a little cinnamon or something like that.
okay.
But the thing, like you're saying, is that it would probably be a smaller dose than you would think, because the heat is going to open up the pores, and it can make you sensitive in ways that even
Mm,
the oils, during the day, not in a sauna, you might not be sensitive to, but in the sauna you might become sensitive to them because of how it dilates the pores. And so
okay.
start slow. Like I did the thing where I'm like, I've been doing this for a while, I'm going 90 miles an hour, and it never went well. It never went well. And so
You
I
just
would
ruined
say
it.
just start small with something, and um you can always increase the dosage if everything's feeling okay. And the goal would be, the eucalyptuses are going to be very cleansing to the energy body, but they're also going to open up the chest. And so anything that's good for opening up the chest, like even like fir balsam might be good, things that
Mhm.
are like fortifying. So firs and spruces, that would probably be good as well. But I would stay in that realm. Maybe even frankincense. You could try a little frankincense, maybe.
Okay, and what about when you say a small dose? Are we talking just a couple of drops? One drop?
Like how big is this?
Gosh, the room is 6 by 5,
Okay, so I would say probably start
mainly
with
a two
maybe,
person.
right. Maybe start with 2 drops, and then you can
Okay.
always keep bumping it up as time goes by. But yeah, ease into it. You'll kind of find your sweet spot, but
Okay.
start slow so you don't have a traumatic event your first time in there.
Right, don't want to ruin it. Yeah.
Right, right,
I
right.
need to just go in there and make sure I can breathe first, and then
Yeah,
I'll put the oils in
yeah,
later.
yeah,
Okay, awesome.
yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, I won't
Yeah.
rub them all over my body to start.
Yeah, that's what I did, and I thought I was being so super smart, and
So cute.
uh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I was at like a hot springs, and they had
Mhm.
a place like that. It was in Southern California, and yeah, I came out like a crazy person. Like, because I was just like, felt so nauseous. I thought I was gonna throw up. I was like, all, now like your head gets all like weird and dizzy, and you're all sweaty, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my.
yeah. Don't do that.
I surely will not.
Right, right. Good for
I've
you though.
learned from,
That's gonna be fun having that problem
okay,
like that. Yeah,
I'm just neutral right now. I have no thoughts about this, but I wanted to
yeah,
be prepared, and it's going to
yeah.
take like 3, 4 months for it to arrive. So
Oh yeah.
I will be stocked up with my oils for
Have
when
fun.
it's installed. Yeah. Thank you so
You're
much.
so
Appreciate it,
welcome.
Greg.
Enjoy.
And then go ahead, Letty, then Denise.
Hey, Miss Lady. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Greg and Sam. How are y'all doing?
Doing good.
Greg, I wanted to ask to see if possibly you can kind of walk me through something. I
Sure.
want to help out a friend of mine's nephew who has had some trauma. He's either late 30s, early 40s, but what happened was his twin brother committed suicide. Like I want to say it's been about 7 years. And it affected him really bad to where he's he started drinking a lot and has lost a lot of weight. And I'm not sure if he's already like on the first stages of cirrhosis of the liver, but I need to talk to him first. And I know I probably should have gotten more information, but I just kind of was wondering, like,
It's pretty, yeah. Uh, Um, like, so when you look at an event like that, because here we're talking about trauma, but like even like how we started talking with Chris about that situation, there's trauma, but still sometimes there's different nuances and different areas that you want to focus on. And in a situation like that, his twin brother committed suicide. How long ago was that? Like 7 years, you said?
7 years.
So I'd say the two oils that would be very good for this situation would be vetiver on the arms and legs, or at least inhaling on the arms and legs. But
Mhm.
if we could maybe get him to put a body tonic on daily, that would be great. But if not, I get it. And then helichrysum, like he's got to be able to let go of that situation, move past it. And the thing with suicide, when it's like somebody in your circle or somebody that you're close to, and here it's
The twin brother.
a twin, yeah, so that makes it even harder, is um it really messes with your head and your perspective for a while. It's just such a tailspin that can easily happen. And the thing that you're trying to do here is you're dealing with elementals, and you want to calm down the elementals. And if you think about what's happening here, is it was so traumatizing that it put him into almost like a permanent automatic behavior, automatic thinking. Like, you just go into this like survival mode. Sometimes it lasts for decades. And so if you look at what addiction is an elemental based condition, like bottom line. And so treating the situation, treating the past event, and treating the addiction is actually all kind of similar. Your ability to be present and your ability to not engage into those automatic behaviors and thinking is the arms and the legs. And we do different things with the arms and the legs, like we use camphor, and we use the red healer, and we use mugwort. All of those are good, but he's not even in a place where mugwort's probably a good thing for him. And vetiver will calm everything down. will kind of calm down a certain agitation that happens more in the elements or the elementals themselves, and it helps to reestablish homeostasis or a sense of balance. And then from there, you can get into the next phase, but it's probably going to be a little bit of trying to get him into a place where he stabilizes. And so let's not make it super complicated. Vetiver on the arms and legs, and then helichrysum on the heart, back heart, solar plexus, whatever he can do. Even if it's just inhaling it, that for a little while.
How long do you think it'll take him like to do this vetiver and helichrysum
Depends
before he
on
can,
his
his will
personality. Yeah.
or his personality? Like,
Well, you know, there's the will part, but you know, I guess this could still be tied to the will, but does he have a little bit of a like a sassy side to him, you know, a little bit of he's not going to take crap or you know whatever, or is he really super absorbed in what happened?
I think he's super absorbed in what happened because
Yeah.
he's really ill, like where he's
Yeah.
lost a lot of
Okay.
weight.
Yeah. So
And he used to be completely like prior to like all this happening, because I remember seeing like the twin boys, you know, like they were normal. I mean, you know, they were just like party and hang out together, whatever. But yeah, I think this is like really taking a
So
toll.
I would say like do those two things for a little bit, and then the follow-up would be when he starts to feel even just moderately better is cinnamon, like internal inhalation. And for one, it's going to jumpstart all of his body processes. You know, like some of that is probably his body shut down a little bit, but it will also make him not as introverted, and it will make him like his skin a little bit thicker so that like he's not as sensitive to things in the environment. And you know, part of an addiction, any sort of addiction, is there's always coupled with that depletion and fatigue, you know, underneath it all. And the cinnamon will address the depletion and fatigue so that the addiction becomes not massively easier to treat, but it becomes easier, you know, because part of the addiction is compensating for the depletion, and the depletion is usually in the solar plexus. Can be the spleen as well, but that also contributes to the depressive states and not having the energy to process or step away or whatever. You know, sometimes when you're dealing with trauma like this, like if they have a little like sassiness in them, they'll bounce out of it a little bit quicker because, you know, I always kind of joke, they got a little like, you know, where they're gonna like push back a little bit. You know, they got a little bit of fight or spunk in them, and they'll push back. But when the personality doesn't have that, um, you have to work a little bit harder from pulling them from going so far inward. You know, like the depression is from being too introverted. And so you need to be able to try to pull him out, and it's not going to happen probably pretty easy. I mean, the thing, the reason why to work the helichrysum, because as he diminishes that tendency to have that automatic behavior and things, the trauma of what happened probably still hasn't been processed very much, and so it just allows him to kind of process it at his own pace. And I would say don't feel the need to push him. Like the thing with people with trauma is I always let them generate their own pace. because not everybody processes things in the same way. And so, you know, it might feel like it's going slow to you, but it's just where that person's at. And so you just gotta, you know, get them to take a few steps, and then you just gotta sit there for a little bit and let them process it. And, you know, there was one lady, I think I've told this story a bunch of times, but um when she first came, you know, we talked about the trauma and everything, and it was obvious she wasn't ready to address it. You know, I tried addressing it right off the bat, and she was like having no part of it. And so I backed off, and we just did things where we calmed and soothed the agitation in her body because of the series of traumatic events. And it was 6 years before we started addressing it. And, you know, for me, I was like, let's get this on the road like this week, or, you know, this month or whatever like that. She was not in that place. And you know, when somebody isn't in the place to do it, sometimes they need healing and some time. And so the goal is not to, you're trying to keep them in therapy so that when the time comes, you're ready to do it. But, you know, sometimes you're just holding space for them to even move on to another therapist, or, you know, you never know. You don't know. And so you just make the space as to have the greatest like healing potential as possible, but you're doing it almost with just no expectation, because it's probably not going to go the way you think it's going to go. Like that has consistently been my experience. Like, it's just, some people, even though they'll say let's jump on it, and as soon as you get on it, and they get overwhelmed or whatever. And so even the things that they say, you know, I would listen to it, but I wouldn't take it for, that's where they're at. Like, just watch their behavior.
So, he agreed to visit with me
Uh-huh.
or like talk to me.
Uh-huh.
But he did ask his aunt if I was a psychiatrist. And I was like, because she didn't know how to explain, like, you know, what, you know, the healing modality of oils, or also like pranic healing. But she just said, like, you know, I have a friend who I think can help you. She's gone through some trauma as well. And I don't know if he said yes because he just wants to please the aunt and like get her off his back. But I'm gonna call and see if he's willing to meet.
So I would say one thing about him asking if you're a psychiatrist, because it's interesting that he said psychiatrist and not psychologist or therapist or whatever, is one of two things. Is he might be he might be afraid to go to somebody who's going to address it. That's a very common thing with trauma. Or he's already building his case of why he's not going to do something. You know, because he went for like, hey, can this person help, or is this person a therapist, or this person a psychologist? He went to, in society, what would be the top thing you would go to, a psychiatrist, and it's like, is it that? So he's either trying to avoid it, or he's already building the case for resistance.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the way around it for you is, you can go, look, I know what you're going through. I have had traumas too, and these are the things that helped me. Like, do it like that.
Mhm.
It will, whatever direction he's going, it's your greatest potential for calming him down, so that you can do a little bit of therapy and just do little bits at a time. You know, the way, like when I was training other therapists way back in the day, the way that I would explain it is you're trying to get a squirrel to eat from your hand. Like, don't make any sudden movements, don't make a lot of eye contact. Let them come to terms with, eating from the hand on their own, and then from there you can move forward. But that first step is getting them to be able to even engage you. And sometimes you never make it past that. Like, just, it's nothing personal, it's whatever, but softer is usually better than like trying to go at it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Like I was thinking of like, I mean, I've had life has been, pretty rough for me. Like I've been considering like starting at childhood, but I thought about like, like, hey, I've been through like all this and I'm still able to at least, do my job because a lot of times like he's at the point where I can't even work anymore. Like he's so weak.
Mm-hmm.
He's a waiter, like nobody will hire him because they see how weak he looks and how sick he looks. So he's gonna try to get his disability.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought like, I mean, and I know it's different for everybody, but I kind of thought about that approach of like telling them like, these are the things that have happened to me and this is what has helped me.
Yeah. I'm curious, does he talk about his brother very much?
I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't.
In the session, bring, or whenever you're working with him, at some point, not right off the bat, bring up the brother and then just watch how he responds. If he avoids it, if he says sad things, if he says like angry or hostile things, that will help get a better gauge of.
Where he's at.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not about the details, it's more about his response. Just see where he's at with all of that. Because I mean, it really takes somebody to have perspective when somebody takes their life like that, and they're have a circle of people around them. It's hard to keep perspective because it's such a trauma
Yeah.
that it's hard not to take it on. Like, it takes somebody who's just really has their feet under them or doesn't care about people very much. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody loved them or was sensitive to them, and here it's a twin brother, it would be hard to shake that off. Like, it'd be really hard to shake that off. So
Do you think it's harder because it's a twin brother because they shared like the same womb together?
it's got to be pretty hard. Like, I would say that's
Are they considered like kind of one soul or they're still both have two different ones?
no, there's two different souls, but they're so entwined in their behaviors and their thoughts, and they're just always used to having this other person there, that it's a bond that's much greater than like two partners or something. It's it's a rough one,
Yeah.
with what he's gone through. And so um
Okay. Well, I think all I can do is try and see what happens.
yeah, and literally going with no expectations.
Okay.
Like one time I was in Southern California and I was doing sessions. I can't remember, it was like down in San Diego or something. And this guy, made a big deal about getting into seeing me, and he wanted 2 sessions. And so, 2 hours. And I mean, it was kind of similar to this, but not like a twin and all of that. And like, just to give you an idea, like, so he came in from the session And the whole time he wouldn't let me work on him until the last 10 minutes of the 2 hours. Like, it was important for him to come in and kind of like control the situation. And then at the very end, when I just went passive and just listened to him and listened to his stories and everything, didn't try to redirect it and everything. I mean, you could tell that his guard was just so up. And then finally, when he just ran out of things to say or excuses or whatever, and I just sat there and just quietly, I maintained eye contact. I listened to everything that he said. And then when he's finally done, he was just like exhausted. And in 10 minutes, I was able to do a decent amount for him, but it took him an hour and 50 minutes to get to that place to be able to let me just work on him for a few minutes. And you just, the thing with trauma is we're sitting there looking at them and talking to them like they're like here, but part of them is still back in the trauma, like it's happening in the moment. And it doesn't make sense because that's not what's happening when you're interacting with them, but for them, that's what's happening. And so you just have to slowly grab them by the hand and just start walking them away from the trauma. Yeah. It is different from person to person, like you never know.
Yeah. Greg, what about pH on him? Do you think pH might scare him away?
Yeah, same areas, like clean up the arms and legs, clean up the elementals. Clean up the sex chakra and the Ming Men just to calm down instinctive responses. But the arms and legs are a big part of it. Very big part of it.
Yeah, I didn't know whether to bring in pH or not because I wasn't sure what he was going to think of that. So I just thought like maybe at least the oils,
It
but
might be a little bit much for him right off the bat. Like, it's already weird enough that you're going to have him inhale oils. Sometimes, you start moving your arms around and doing this and that, and they'll bail. So I'd probably start with oils first,
Mhm.
and then slowly work into some other things. But you could always work on him before or after you interact with him in person.
Mhm.
But in person, it might be a little much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They might freak out to see you with a wand in the air.
Well, the thing that makes me like kind of prepare you for that he's going to pump the brakes is the thing about that he's asking if you're a psychiatrist. Because like I said, he's either not wanting to go and get treatment, or he's building a case of why he shouldn't be working with you. So don't give him a lot of weird things throwing at him to get him to that place. Like, start producing like little results and helping him to feel better, and then you'll build his confidence, and then it will be easier to go, okay, let me do this other thing now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Greg.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then go ahead, Denise, then Sonia.
Hey, Denise.
Hi, Greg. A while back, it was one of our weekend classes.
Mhm.
I got this terrible pain at the base of my neck and where the shoulder and neck meet.
Okay.
And for the life of me, I cannot remember what you told me. I've gone through my notes, what you told me to use for that.
Probably vetiver, like vetiver or spikenard, like up on this area.
Yes, exactly. That's it.
Vetiver or spikenard.
Okay, good.
First choice would be vetiver, and just kind of slather it on those points up there, and then maybe a little bit up at the base of the skull, and that should knock it out.
Thank you. And one other thing, I haven't ever purchased any of your incense, but
Mhm.
is there one that's good for like maybe Palo Santo, or is there one good for like cleaning energetically and maybe for quartz?
There's the ironbark eucalyptus, and I think, did we throw etheric cords up on the site yet?
We
or-
haven't yet.
we were just talking about, we're gonna do etheric cords as a type of incense. And
Oh,
so either
good.
Ironbark eucalyptus or etheric cords would be super good.
Great. That would be
I would
good.
also say like the chopper root cleanser incense. Yeah.
And I could do a diffuser on
Oh,
that
sure.
too. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But I haven't, I kind of like the idea of trying the incense for some reason. I
Yeah,
don't,
we burn several sticks a day. Like, that's our first thing we do in the morning, and usually mid-afternoon we burn another stick, and then at night we burn a stick right before we go to bed.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
This is great. I appreciate it.
good, my pleasure. And if for some reason that doesn't work, let me know and we'll find something else, but that should knock that out.
Okay, I will, just because I'm real close. I'm like trying to decide between a couple of things to place my order. So if something isn't working, I'll
Yeah,
let you know
get
so we
some
can add
vetiver,
it in.
and even if you want to do vetiver in like a roller ball, you know, because vetiver is real thick. It's a little bit hard to work with. So you might want to do it in a roller ball or get it in an ointment or a body tonic.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Could I mix it with jojoba? You know,
Yeah. Yes.
I could.
I mean, that's what the roller ball is. So that would totally work.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so
You're
much.
so welcome.
And then go ahead, Sonia.
Hey, Miss Sonia.
Did that therapist ever get back to you about the ear stuff?
Oh, no, we went back and forth, and then the holidays, I haven't got a hold of them yet. So, you know what? I'll reach out. I'll send them another email tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to have a phone conversation with them, so that's why it's taking a little bit. Otherwise, we could just bounce it back and forth via email. But yeah, I want to kind of talk it out because I mean, you're kind of a unique situation.
Okay.
Yeah, how are you doing though?
In what, in regard to my ear?
Well, well, there's that, but you know, I know that you had all the family stuff going on, and then the holidays were there. You did okay through the holidays?
Um, well, the family's sort of disintegrated, and my mom wants to leave where she was. She wants me to take her out of there, and I said, well, my sister will call the police if I do that. So she takes me to the back entrance, and it's down a stairway. She's got these 15-foot high stairways on two sides of her room, and she's legally blind and 97. She's moderate to severe dementia. And so my sister's taken the whole thing to court, and she accused me of a bunch of things that never happened, you know. And I have that proof, but like, she's saying I did all this stuff, and it's she thinks something and she believes it's true
Yeah.
without checking back to see if it is.
So have you been doing the work with the etheric cords and stuff, like the inhaling the oils and thinking of your family?
Yeah.
How does that help kind of take the edge off a bit or no?
Well, a little, I guess, but like, you know, it's just like the whole family's disintegrated, and my
Yeah.
sister's made a bunch of lies, and she told all my relatives, and so like it's divide and conquer, and yeah, she cuts out all support, and she's really brutal about the whole thing, and my brother is just accepting what she says, and she's not telling him the truth, you know. I just you know, my brother came and he didn't even tell me he was here. I just happened in there, and he was with my mom. And I said, don't you see that stairway, 15-foot high? We're right next to it. And it doesn't register for him. You know, it's like,
So
it's in
you know,
denial.
let's have you, you know, I'm sure you have had it in some class, and maybe we can look up what classes it's been in, but there's an oil called ambrette Are you aware that you have it? I'm sure you have it in a class kit. So we'll look up class kits that it was potentially in.
I think it sounds familiar, but it's not one that we've often used. And I copied off I have a list of all the oils I've got.
Okay, let's have you do ambrette and inhale it, and then think of the different components of the family as you inhale it. Think of the sister, think of your mom, think of the family disintegrating, think of all of those things, and then come back to the body, go to the spine, and then inhale it into the spine, and then go back to the family. Keep going back and forth with that.
Yeah.
And let's see how that treats you.
I've done a lot of that. I think a lot of it
But
is
with the ambrette specifically is what we're shooting for. Like there's a component with that I think will. I mean, you sound better about it than you did, but like I still would like to help you to try to feel even better about, because the better you feel, the better that you can handle yourself in these difficult situations, and plus just being able to feel good yourself. And so the ambrette, like going back and forth with all that, like really worked out really well. And
what does the ambrette do that the others doesn't?
it will help like calm down the agitation that is coming from the different scenarios, like the mom, the sister, the mom and the sister, the family, the legal stuff. Just visit all that stuff, and it will keep allowing the brain to function better, and it will be very soothing.
Yeah, I think part of the thing is that there's constant abuse from
Yeah.
birth every day onward, so like it's not. And then when I got the meningitis, things I couldn't manage things the way I used to.
Yeah. So try that and see how that works.
Okay.
And Letty found or Robert found, it's in the trauma release technique class.
Yeah.
So that was a 1-day class a couple years ago.
Like a year ago, I think.
Mhm.
It was last year. About
Was
this
it last
time.
year?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we just have one question in chat, but feel free to still raise your hand, guys, or type in the chat. Could you talk more about the healing mysteries of the Sphinx class?
Yeah, so it's a hard one to describe, although I say that a lot. But it's kind of like what we were talking about with Chris in the beginning. You're dealing with the will, but you're not dealing with trying to make the will do something different. You're basically trying to soothe and re-educate the will. And you have different aspects of the will. And so the Sphinx is identifying these 4 aspects, but you're almost like soothing the will so that it can have a deeper release on the things that we're connected to, or are still attached to, and having it trigger trauma or stress or anxiety or some sort of behavior. And there's going to be like an unwinding to do, a very deep cleansing of the cords between you and different situations and people and everything, so that you just minimize the contamination from the situations, from the people and everything, and you just get to be yourself. And so the first part of it is going through and treating the agitation that can happen in the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body. You just keep calming everything down, the tendency to get triggered. And then from there, you keep like normalizing and balancing out the body, and then you get to the point where, because of that, the body just starts letting go of the contamination in the cords and the connections. And then we just go through and flesh that out, and we establish new patterns within the energy body, to break that. We will be going a lot deeper in the three brains, because the thing with the three brains, you know, the harmonizing of the mental processing, emotional processing, and then instinctive processing, is when you harmonize those three, it is, you know, I keep using the word, you innovate and you walk yourself out of these situations, but basically it's engaging the healing process. And you know, that's the thing, especially in the West, we see the healing process as something symptom oriented, where we're going to target something and wrestle with it and make it go away. When here we're trying to literally use your physiology and how you're wired to let it float away, rather than something you got to wrestle with and make happen. And so it's a very soothing class, but you know, we're just going to follow the steps and mechanics, and you know, it could be about trauma, but for me, for example, you know, I've been doing these things for a while, so I've worked on like the car accidents and this and the argument with somebody, and you know, whatever. Not that it doesn't need tune up from time to time, but it would just be like the stress of work, the stress of this, the stress of, you know, and it's not even now, it was still things that were like 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I would just, you know, think of times that were like stressful, and it's amazing how much comes out, and then how much better I feel. Like I did some over the holiday weekend, and I got a lot of good rest because I just let go of a bunch of old stuff that I wasn't thinking about or grinding on, but you know, it's just on the bucket list of, yeah, at some point I gotta address these just old stressful situations. And you know, most of them were 20, 30 years ago. Like it wasn't even like recent. And oh my God, it was so relaxing. You know, I was so relaxed that Samantha came in a couple of times and was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm feeling chill." You know, but yeah, you know, releasing those things doesn't have to be a wrestling match or a fight. It can just be simply blowing in the wind and things just float away, you know.
And then go ahead, Deborah.
Hey, Miss Deborah.
Greg. This is really a complete opposite of the topic for tonight. I've noticed that you may have worn this ring for a while, but it's become more apparent to me as I was reviewing the recording of Saturday's class. So I was wondering, I've been wanting to ask you about a sapphire ring that I love to wear, and your thoughts about so it only fits 2 fingers and I love to wear it. So is there a bad finger to wear it
It's
on?
a blue sapphire or yellow sapphire?
It's a blue sapphire and it's a very good quality.
Oh, nice. Left hand, and what fingers does it fit?
It fits, okay, so I thought you were going to say that. And it fits my ring finger.
Oh yeah, then just wear it there.
Well, but a ring finger has symbolism for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But are you just talking about like meeting somebody and making sure they don't think you're married, or
Well,
you're
it's been
thinking of
interesting
the
because
energetics of it?
a little bit of the energetics, because
I wouldn't worry about the energetics. Like I'd say the biggest issue there is the socially, that, you know, people, you know, you meet somebody, they might think you're married or spoken for or something. So pull that baby off.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way it was described to me is if I was to wear it on my right ring finger, that it would be taking energy away from me. Is that a fair description or is that false?
No, it would just, because the right hand is more about things that you're projecting. And so it would slow down the movement of things that you're trying to do. So blue on the dominant hand is not a efficient choice. I mean, you can still do it, but it's just not going to be efficient.
Okay.
It's kind of like not quite this bad, but going up an escalator that's moving down and you're trying to go up. You can do it. It's just a little bit more effort. Where on the left hand, it's going to be like walking up an escalator that's moving up.
Okay.
It's not going to cause you like harm, but it might make certain things like just move slower, and so it's harder to get things, engaged.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wore a dark blue stone on my right hand for a while, and I was like, I don't know if I could notice a difference, and then I took it off, and I noticed a difference. Like when I stopped wearing it, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have done it that long. Yeah, because I did it for an experiment. I think I did it for like 3 months or something. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
you
I'm
know,
really sensitive to stone, so I've been
yeah,
experimenting like that as well. So, but there's also so many environmental things. It's hard to flesh out exactly, is it the ring or is it something else? So
sure.
here's another experiment that I've been doing is, so there's certain smells I'm really sensitive to.
Mhm.
And I had a thought about my the roux
Mhm.
oil, and I couldn't find it, but I felt like it was the right oil that I needed. And so
Uh-huh.
I just brought it to my consciousness and used it. And I felt a difference. And so I was wondering, can you connect to an oil and have that kind of, obviously if I was smelling it, inhaling it directly, it'd be more powerful, but can you get a relationship with an oil? Can you connect with it?
Yeah, you can definitely connect to an oil, because especially if you've worked with it for a little while, it's kind of in the psyche a little bit. But there's also the plant divas that you can kind of invoke. It is a little bit different than actually inhaling it, but it still can do something. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I remember what a way long time ago, like maybe a year and a half ago, where you had us doing the materialization breath and
Mhm.
really connecting with an oil. And it was, for me, it was Palo Santo. And
Mhm.
I, this day, can smell it without
Mhm.
having to smell
Oh yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to know if that was my imagination. So thank you.
No. For me, mine's cistus. Like I can just think of cistus and I can smell it in my nose and my taste buds start to water and
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah.
That brought up a good question. What are the differences of qualities you're getting when you inhale an essential oil? Energetic, physical?
So when you inhale, you are getting the energetics and you're directing it to different parts of the body. That's part of our process is we're not just inhaling it, but we're directing it to chakras, body parts, external situations, internal situations, the spine. So there's that component. Then the act of inhaling also gets the plant material into your bloodstream. And so anytime you inhale something, the thing that's giving that scent, the molecules are going into the respiratory tract and down into the lungs. And then as blood passes through the lungs, you're getting that plant material or that oil material into the bloodstream. So you're getting the, I don't know what you would call it, like the physical effect, or one of my peers, an older medical aromatherapist, he'd always call it the pharmaceutical effect, but pharmaceutical implies, meds from the doctor. So I never use that term. but you know, you're getting that physical component where it's affecting your physiology and lower emotions and things like that. But then also when you inhale an oil, our sense of smell is tied to the ability to shift behaviors, to shift thought processes, to shift our thinking or our thoughts themselves, and to shift the nervous system. You know, it's part of our adaptive mechanisms, or ability to adapt to the environment. And so by inhaling an oil, it is one of the quickest and easiest ways to address something, because you can shift a behavior almost immediately. You can shift thoughts almost immediately. You can shift the nervous system almost immediately. And so you're utilizing the way that the body is wired for the nervous system and the limbic system, you know, the vital centers, like how they work. You're harnessing their qualities or the things that they do and directing it for healing. Like you're using the body as an ally rather than just trying to make the body do something. And so the oils work really, really super well for that. So you have the energetic, you have the physical, and then you have, you could say, the neurological. Yeah.
Thank you. And go ahead, Deborah.
Hey, Deborah.
So one other thing,
Mhm.
uh, um, I know that when you were in Sarasota the last time that you did work where there was a sound presentation, and I don't know how you combine the oils with it, or you just followed the oil presentation after that, but it has my curiosity.
What did I do?
Um, there was the place where you went, they had a sound healing, and then you were there. I think it's where you're going to be again.
They do the gong. They do the gong.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that I can see you have a gong there.
Yes.
So yeah. And I've been playing around with oils and sound,
Mhm.
and wondering if you've specifically ever worked with the two, combining the two,
Oh yeah,
or
all the time. Yeah. It's hard to do on the Zoom because the sounds of like the bowls or the gong don't translate very well on the Zoom. And then you can see the size of the gong if you can see it.
yeah.
It doesn't travel. Like when I talked to my guy from Nepal, I was like, I would like a nice travel gong. That's what he sent me.
Oh gosh.
It's huge. Like it's taller than I am when I'm sitting down. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but yeah, you don't have to. But so you can do it a little bit before, inhale the oils, and then do it after. And you know, there's different things that you could say about it. The sounds are like the oils in a way that there's an energy or a vibration that happens, and there's a vibration in the body. And I would say the sounds also affect the connective tissue to a much higher degree than some other things. But just like the oils do the sense of smell, the sound does the ears. And I mean, obviously. And the sound is very good for calming down agitated, especially the autonomic nervous system, you know, the sympathetic fight flight, very good for calming that down. And it really is helpful to shift from that intellect to intuition. Sound is another way of doing it. Like you can do it a lot of different ways. That is one of the ways. And so I would say, you know, do the oil and you can do a little sound and then do the oil and just keep going back and forth. And, you know, the thing with the sound is you're trying to get to a place where you're meditative and you can just let go and take off. And once that happens, just lean into it, let your body do whatever it's going to do, rest, sleep, whatever. And then if you want to do more, you do more, or you just do it the next session. But yeah, it's a great way to heal.
Well, if you can ever think of a way to have a class with both, I'm signing up right away.
Oh, we're, because we're doing, like, when we're there, it's not this weekend, but next weekend. Saturday night, we're also doing Milong, which is a Buddhist ceremony. And after the class, that has to be in person. But the more that we're doing that, wherever we go, we're always going to be doing one. We'll be integrating sound into that more and more. Yeah,
Terrific.
it's for us, it's going to be a little bit of like travel, but how do I travel with all the things? Because even the bowls, like the times that I've traveled with some of the bowls, I have those big silver ones. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're solid silver and they're real big. They're super heavy. And so yeah, I just got to figure out a good way to, we even ordered a different suitcase to get the big, because we have one of the big mother bowls that's like, this big. And I think the way around the gong thing is we're going to try to travel with the mother bowl.
And do you just get your bowls from Nepal?
Yeah, I use the traditional metal bowls. Yeah, so.
And is that what's sold through Astara?
Yeah, I've used the same guy for probably 25 years.
Because I went shopping for a bowl. Your friend who is an outstanding sound healer, and they would say the bowl was like, say, like a C, just for instance, and I was hitting all the different C's, and like they don't all sound the same.
No, they don't. They never sound the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Each bowl is kind of almost a unique thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's hard to even order from Astara because I really connected with one bowl.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Again, try bringing a few bowls when I come next week.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, like, go through and pick out a couple that you like and let me know what they are, or let Samantha know, and then we'll bring them.
Terrific. Thank you. That's a deal.
You're so welcome. That way you can kind of play with it and bond with it, or say, nah, you know what I mean? Like, there's some things where you just got to sit and play with it. And so.
Yeah. All right. Love it. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
What if no sense of smell?
Still works, actually. Your nervous system is still wired. Your brain might not process the scent and everything, but it still has an impact. And then you're also getting the energetics, and you're also getting the molecules into the blood. So even though you can't smell it, it's still having an impact.
How does cistus work?
Cistus, I find, is very interesting. Like, it kind of harmonizes the mind and the body. It's a good harmonizer, and it helps to release things from the unconscious. It helps with some like low-grade fears, and it's a good cleanser for those pesky little things that are hard to let go of, if you know what I mean. Like things that are just very deep-seated, and they're not in your face every day, but you're just kind of aware of them in the back of your mind, or when times are quiet, or when you're laying down and you're like, but there's that thing. And so I would say that cistus, it can shift your perspective and it can release things from the unconscious in ways that you just can't do otherwise. And so, yeah. You know, I have a very good friend who's a old school medical aromatherapist. He's a little bit older than I am. And, you know, he was back in the day when medical aromatherapy was just coming to the US. He was in and around all the big names back in the day. And whenever we start talking, you know, we're always talking about oils, but we'll start talking, and when cistus comes up, he's like, ugh, every time I take a bath in one of that, I have nightmares all night. I don't have nightmares, but you know, I tease him and I go, oh, I must have a lot of unresolved things in the psyche. And he goes, you know, he would make the joke like, you know it, like you know, it's one of those things where we're all on our journey and doing different things, but you know, it brings things up to be processed. And I don't know. I've never felt it to be uncomfortable, but it does release things from deep within, whether you like it or not. You know, you usually don't have to process it or make it go away, but there's movement, let's just say.
Do we have cistus incense on the website?
We have cistus incense. I don't know, let's make the website because I've been sucking it all up for us. But I made a big batch and we can pop it on the website. Yeah, we can totally do that. Yeah. We've been like, I think we've been burning it every day. Yeah. And it's one of our go-to things when we do the Milong ceremony. The Milong ceremony is this thing where you look in and have these very old metal bronze, they're like mirrors basically, and you look at it and you know there's the slow process, and then as you're looking at it, you pour holy water over it. And so it makes things like your projections outward and people's projections towards you. It's like it breaks the tie and you just start releasing things. And so we burn cistus incense when we can, you know, given what venue we're in. Like sometimes we can do it at a hotel, but like we didn't do it in Birmingham. We've done it in some other places and we do it all the time here. So, you know, it just makes it go a little bit deeper.
When will y'all come to Austin with that practice?
Yeah, we just got to try pulling the class together. I think we've tried a couple of times and we just couldn't get things organized there. But, you know, we can give it a shot again. We can see. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I like Austin. Yeah, it's been, what, a couple of years since I've been there. Yeah. Who would we have as like a contact? We'll have to look into it and see. The dynamics for us in Austin has changed a little bit, so we don't know. I don't know how I would even make that work these days. But if you have some suggestions, let me know.
We have a come to LA.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, we do that for Astara, but yeah, we could do LA pretty easy.
All right, guys, I think we're ready
is it
for
time?
practice.
Yeah. Actually, let's see if you have vetiver, spikenard, valerian, that blend balance. If you don't have those, even lavender. Benzoin maybe. Let's see where you're at with that, and if you need other choices, but let's see what you got. And So this is what I'd like you to do. Think of something, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but think of something that you'd like to have like float away a little bit, like release a little bit. And this isn't a full practice, but it gives you a taste. We're going to be going into greater depth with this. We've done it in the past a little bit, but we're going to go to a much greater degree in the Sphinx class coming up in a couple of weeks. And so, you know, let's practice with it. So you're either ready, or if you can't make the class, you at least get some taste of it now. So this is what I'd like you to do. Just think of something and just notice how it feels. Notice your thoughts, notice your body. Do you think about things? Does your body shut down? Does your mind shut down? Like, what happens when you think of that situation, that issue, that emotion, that thought, whatever it is? Okay, so we're not inhaling anything yet. We're just like kind of checking in with something. We want to do a little bit of an experiment. Okay, let the situation, the past event, the feeling, the thought, whatever it was, let it go. Begin inhaling the vetiver, and your awareness is on your arms, from your shoulder all the way down to your fingertips, your arms. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. You're inhaling, your awareness is still on the arms and the legs. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just the arms. Just the arms. You're inhaling, your awareness is on the arms. Mhm. Yeah. Let go of the arms for a moment and start inhaling on the legs. From the hips all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. And then just be still for a moment. Just be still. I'll go of the inhalation. Now, think of that same event, situation, feeling, person, thought, whatever it was, and just see how it seems now. Okay, let it go. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on the arms, from the armpits, the tops of the shoulders, all the way down to the fingertips. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the legs, from the hips down to the bottoms of your feet. And then just pause and be still. Just let everything go. Notice how you feel. So somebody's asking how the energy should move. You're just being aware of it. You're not really trying to move energy up or down. You're letting the energetics of the vetiver relax those areas, and there's elementals that are in the arms and legs. It's calming down the agitation and the elementals. So it's reestablishing homeostasis in the body, it's relaxing the body, it's relaxing the physiology, and also the energy from the environment. It's calming all of that down. So yeah. Okay, so now think of the situation, event, person, thought, emotion, whatever it is, think of it again. So part of what you're doing is you evoke the situation or the event or the person or the thought process, and then you go through and you calm the you're calming down the arms and the legs, but the energy in the arms and legs, you're slowing down the agitation in the arms and legs, which allows it to transmute. Plus, every time you bring it up and then you calm it down, and you bring it up and you're calming it down. And so, what you're doing is you're establishing a new pattern within the physiology and your energy body, so that when this situation or this person or whatever it is pops up, you don't quite have that same reaction. You're literally breaking a pattern of automatic behavior by going through and doing this. So we just keep going through and cycling through this. You think of the situation, calm the arms and legs. Think of the situation, calm the arms and legs. And what you're doing is you're setting the foundation for you to transmute and let these things go. The more that your body's agitated, the more you will not let go of something. Your body is in a like a chaotic state, and so it's harder to release things there. So the more you calm everything down, the easier things come out, and it's more soothing, right? So notice how you feel. Again, evoke the situation, the event, the person, the thought, the emotions. Think about it for a moment. Let it go. And again, your arms from the shoulders down to the fingertips. You're just inhaling with your awareness on the arms, forearms, the elbow, the wrist, the hands, the whole arm the best that you can. And then let that go. And then your legs from your hips down to the bottoms of your feet. And then just be still. And then reflect. Reflect on the situation, the event, the person, thought, emotion. How does that feel towards you? Yeah. So, but things just kind of floated away, right? So let's go ahead and take a couple moments and share experiences and ask questions just about this so we can kind of process it. But like even here, Samantha was saying, like was it a thought or a feeling or
Yeah, just a thought.
so she had some thoughts that she was like, reflecting on, and by calming down the arms and legs and working it in the way that we're doing, it just allows for those things to float away. When the arms and legs are congested or agitated, or the energy in there is a real agitated kind of energy, basically you're not in homeostasis. It's hard to let go of something. But when the arms and legs are calm and relaxed, your ability to transmute things without even having to make it happen, your body just naturally does it, right? And so that's what we're trying to shoot for. And so let's share a couple experiences and ask maybe a couple questions. We have about 8 minutes before we got to jump to the next stream. So,
And go ahead, Anne.
Ian.
Thank you. Thank you so much. After the first sharing, I wasn't sure if I was ready to talk, but I was sexually abused by my father as a baby, and this has just released so much. I've
Yeah.
been sitting here crying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that happened to you, but like I do this a lot. Do
Yeah.
this a lot, and you'll be
Okay.
surprised at how good it makes you feel.
Yeah, I am surprised.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're so welcome.
Oh,
Let me know how that, like, do it for a week or two, and then let me know how you're doing, and we can add other steps. But
and will the
like I said, this is part of what we're going to be doing in the Sphinx class here coming up pretty quick.
Okay.
And then later we're going to start mixing like the colored pranas and all that with the things that we do in the Sphinx class and the past vagus nerve and medulla class and all of that. So I think you'll find it quite soothing, even if you just did this particular piece, but it's part of a little like system.
Thank you.
This is more of a logistical question.
Sure.
Could you use something like vetiver ointment?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, you can rub it on the arms and legs, but here we're doing the inhalation. When I rub it on my arms and legs, I still do the inhalation with it. But like if you have the ointment, just put some in your hand and then do it that way. Yeah.
Sometimes you have us focus on the joints of the arms and legs. Tonight it was the full arms and legs. What is the difference?
So the joints are kind of specific to how the energy is moving, where here we're just trying to relax the limbs and establish homeostasis. So if you did the arms and legs, it would be fine, but you're actually trying to relax more of the connective tissue and the muscle and things like that. And so you are slightly targeting some, even though it's still on the arms and legs, you're still targeting something a little bit different. And if you did the joints, that's how I used to do it for a long time. It still works really well. It's just when you do the whole arm itself, I find it goes a little bit deeper. And so you're relaxing the fascia and the skeletal muscle, which is helping to allow things to transmute. And so yeah.
Thank you. Settled into left jaw.
I would still probably do a couple more cycles of the arms and legs, but I mean, sometimes I'll even go to the jaw. You might want to do, is it a newer or an older person? Like you think they have healing elixir or?
It's Denise.
Hey. Do you have healing elixir or do you have cistus or
I have the small cistus.
why don't you use the
I don't have the healing elixir.
yeah, the cistus might be a little too strong.
Okay.
Hold on just a sec. Okay. Do you have like sandalwood or do you have see sandalwood? Pain relief psychogenic. You don't have healing elixir.
None of the three you just mentioned. But I was
Let's I mean, you've already been working with cistus. Let's go ahead and give it a shot.
okay.
Let's so with that, do your spine and then the jaws.
Okay.
And then you could also go to like external, anything external, especially if it's, even if it seems unrelated, you know, just visit different situations, past events, and just let it kind of unfold and then do the vetiver on the arms and legs again.
And the vetiver on the arms and legs again.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
But visit the spine wherever it takes me to, right?
Do the
And
jaw and the spine. Yeah.
thank you so
The,
very much.
the spine, especially the cervical spine, you know, because it's so close to the jaw. Like, so just work the spine, but especially the bones in your neck.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole left side's been locked up today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was like it's shielding the left side of my face and jaw. It's kind
Yeah.
of interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And keep us posted. If you need more or different approach, we'll come up with something.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Okay, and nobody else? So
Looks
well,
like the shares and questions.
okay, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us. And remember, this weekend is a class that a lot of you, I think, have already had. So it's a nice review class, and we're going to do a different, you know, 2.0 of that particular class. So join us if you can. And if not, study group tomorrow night in kind of anything goes, but it's going to be the revitalize and
But yeah, we'll
drive.
have everyone can.
So anybody can come. So join us tomorrow night if you can. So take care, you guys. Happy New Year.